Hello and good evening. It's another live event with Force 13. My name is Nathan Foy, and we are, as always, joined by several guests. First of all, we have Sean and his screen sharing at this time. I don't know whose thing he's playing in the background, by the way, but I can hear it, and it's pretty annoying. We also have Daniel. He's in the dark. Looks like you've had a power cut.
Hello.
Hello. We have Jason. I think he'll be doing a screen share this evening. And we also have Nick and Pablo
Hello.
with us as well. Hi, Nick.
Hello.
And hello, Pablo.
Hello.
Where Cyclone Kari was, but isn't anymore. He's in Brazil, and Nick is joining us from New England. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes, so lots of activity, as you would expect if you've been following things recently. Lots going on. First of all, well, here we are. It's the third Category 5 storm of the year. It is Cyclone Pam, and it is a Category 5 storm with winds of 160 miles
Guess
per hour.
who?
And Michael interrupted us. Already, Mike. Hey.
You alright?
But
Just
we're
get my
fine.
Sorry, I only just got your message.
We're fine indeed. How are you doing, Mike?
As usual.
The usual.
How long have we been live then?
Oh, we've been live for about 1 minute. Cyclone Pam is a Category 5 cyclone on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale and on the Australian scale. It is near Vanuatu. It is a Category 5 with winds of 160 miles per hour and could intensify further in the next few hours and into tomorrow, obviously. So it's going to be obviously a difficult 24-hour period for Vanuatu. Who has that background noise, by the way? Is it Pablo's screen with all the background noise? It's very off-putting. Someone has it anyway. It's not Michael. We also have Cyclone Nathan. It's a storm with 65 mile per hour winds. It's been like that for some time along the coast of Queensland, Australia, and you can see associated thunderstorms associated with the storm on the left-hand side moving into the Gulf of Carpentaria, but the storm itself is going to remain firmly on the eastern side of Queensland and is expected to move out to sea in the next 24 to 48 hours and begin to accelerate array a little bit and possibly become a Category 3 storm on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. Sorry, Category 2, Category 3 on the Australian scale. Olwyn has made landfall in Western Australia with winds of 85 miles per hour. That was around the highest sustained winds recorded in Learmonth, which is pretty much in the eye wall right now. I'm sure we'll find out more totals from Australia very shortly as we look at the radar imagery and all that. And we also have a tropical storm Bavi, which has intensified slightly, now with winds of 45 miles per hour, located west of the Marshall Islands, pretty much clearing them now, and is affecting, slightly affecting, the island of Pohnpei in Micronesia. Before we go any further, is there anything that anyone else would like to comment on regarding the current situation? Our first Category 5 since, was it February or January that Eunice was around?
Eunice was January, I believe.
But of course it's the first one since...
No, February.
It's the first one since... sorry, the first one this year in the South Pacific Ocean. I was just distracted there for a moment.
It really looks like Nathan died out. I'm looking at the IR map, and it really looks like Nathan died out for a while, and then he came back.
Yes, I was wondering that. It seems to look a little bit flaky, I suppose you could say. I don't know whether there's any imagery coming out on it just yet, but if not, there will be shortly, or in the next few hours. That was just the image from much longer ago on the other side of the night in Australia. So that was several hours ago, around 12 hours or so. So in the meantime, let's take a look at the track maps for the Australian cyclones first of all. So the latest map shows Cyclone Olwyn Category 3 storm on the Australian scale. It made landfall as, and is likely to continue sort of skirting the coast really, and could track all the way towards Perth. It's actually drawing ever closer to the centre of Perth, the actual track map, which I'm sure Jason will be excited about, if anything. And on his screen right now, you can see the information on the observations in Learmonth in the past few hours. You can see a peak wind speed, sustained winds of 137 kilometers per hour. That's around 85 miles per hour. Winds gusting to 180 kilometers per hour. That's around, as far as I know, 105 miles per hour. Nick, did you want to say anything then?
No, I don't want to say anything.
It just sounded like you were about to say something, but obviously not.
Nathan,
Yeah, Michael.
looks as though all the action's in the Western Hemisphere then.
You mean the Eastern Hemisphere?
West. Oh no,
Hello.
East, yes.
Yeah.
East, no, I'm getting confused because West Pacific, Eastern Hemisphere, it's
Yes.
confusing.
It is, it is. Just a little note, Michael, we can't see you. As in, you're not actually... There you are, yeah, hello. That really makes it much more professional.
All I'm doing at the moment,
um,
I'm watching.
Oh, I see. He's watching Avatar. What, again?
Yeah,
hello.
Yes,
I think
Daniel.
film now.
I've had to disable my webcam because it lags out if I have it enabled.
I see.
So
Um,
on
well,
my
that's
iPod, yeah.
That's okay. Well, let's look back
Okay.
at John's map right now, where you can see all 4 systems here. So on your left-hand side is Cyclone Olwyn making landfall on the left, the westernmost tip of Australia. Cyclone Nathan, of course, hanging around near the northern end of Queensland. Obviously, it's been stalling for some time, so very high amounts of rainfall falling there, you would imagine. Cyclone Pam is, of course, the biggest and the strongest towards the east there. Very strong indeed. Category 5 could produce not life-threatening conditions at the very least, couldn't it, in the next few hours. And Tropical Storm Bavi at the top there in the Western Pacific.
Is Pam already a Category 5, or is it on its way to becoming
No,
a Category 5?
it is a Category 5 storm now. It
yeah.
became official in the last hour or so, or a little bit more, a little bit earlier than that. It became official with winds of 160 miles per hour, sustained winds, and an air pressure of 918 millibars. Let's take a look at the track map issued by Nadi in Fiji as well, showing the track map for Cyclone Pam, which should load up shortly. Taking its time. Oh, there it is. Latest track map for Cyclone Pam. You can see most of Vanuatu under a cyclone warning, and indeed some of it is perhaps very near destructive storm force winds at this time. Port Vila, the capital, is not too far away from that either, and it will make its closest approach to there in the next 24 hours, more towards 15 hours, I would say, looking at that chart. So 15 hours from now would put it towards the end of this evening, perhaps, if I'm reading that right. Oh no, actually, I'm trying to think quickly about who's going down the stairs right now. Is that Nick?
Myself.
Yes, that would help, Nick. Yes, I just actually figured that out. It is going to be around 12 p.m. UTC tomorrow that it will make its closest approach to Port Vila, and then continue to sweep through the rest of the islands and move towards the southeast, with warnings extending to the far eastern Loyalty Islands of New Caledonia now as well. Michael?
Did you go ahead with the live event this morning?
We did indeed.
Yeah.
I didn't get up to about 9:30.
Sorry?
I didn't get up to 9:30.
Well, how about that?
Oh dear.
Lazy.
It was surprisingly quiet.
Yeah, it was actually a bit more what's the word for it? Civilized.
Yeah.
You cheeky little.
Michael, thank you. There's the JMA's map for Tropical Storm Bavi at this time. Still expected to aim towards Guam, or maybe just hit just south, but it's still quite a fair way away, so anywhere around that area is plausible at this time.
Hmm.
What would you like to say about that, Daniel?
Not much.
Not much, as usual.
No. Yeah.
Okay. And I don't know whether anyone could load up some webcams at the moment, because I know there are webcams available in Vanuatu. I might have them up myself.
Is somebody monitoring the comments?
Yeah, I
No, actually.
Okay.
But yes, Stephen P. Shaw, one of our regular followers, says, strongest storm hit Vanuatu in 30 years, right? I thought I heard that somewhere 918 millibars. That is correct at this time. That is the general, noise, general thing that they put out. It may be lower than that, but it's quite difficult to tell. Some indications show lower air pressures. Your views on that are most welcome. Here's a view of what it looks like in Port Vila right now in Vanuatu. Not looking too bad by the looks of things, but I should imagine it will get worse and deteriorate not too far from now. But that's Vanuatu right now. Let's take a look at the Australian radar. Last time I checked, the radar at Learmonth had gone down. I don't know whether that's still the case or not. Yep. So we are looking at the other locations at this time. You can just about see the bands of Olwyn appearing on this radar imagery. But it's not too good in terms of detecting all that heavy rainfall and such associated with that storm. But Jason's giving me another link actually. I'll just actually click that button. Oh, it's an alternate Carnarvon radar. I only went on this one because it had all the observation places as well. Here somewhere. Oh yes, there's another perspective there of the radar imagery. Rainfall approaching Carnarvon right now. Looking fairly light at this time now. I wonder whether the winds are perhaps worse than the rainfall. We'll find out. But anyone with any comments on that? Michael, you're quiet.
No, I'm just tired.
Me too. You got up late, Mike. Come on. Here are the observations for the areas around where the storm made landfall. Onslow, that was situated further east. It had its peak winds. Not in the late evening, reached a peak wind gust of 119 kilometers per hour and peak winds sustained of 91. Learmonth we already looked at. Peak wind speeds of 180 kilometers per hour gusts. On 2 occasions, or more than 2 I suppose if you count all those, and its top sustained winds of 137 kilometers per hour.
Pablo's back.
Hello Pablo. And it reached its lowest minimum central pressure, pressure in the location, sorry I'm thinking about the storm too much, pressure at that location of 969.3, that appears to be the lowest one I can see there. Yes. And now it's indeed going up already up to 992.
Can I make an announcement?
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
What I'm planning to do possibly next, I should probably, I'm not here Saturday, but possibly Sunday or next week or the weekend after next weekend, we'll be doing another Force 13 extra game show.
Oh no.
Oh no.
It worked out alright other than John not being there.
Only if I'm doing it, Michael, thanks very much.
I could help as
I
well.
want to do the next one.
You could do it on a Force 13.
Yeah, well, We'll
I
see.
can help.
Anyway, welcome back, Pablo. Nice to see you. Looking at
How do you
Barrow,
spell like cup?
Barrow Island as well, reached its peak wind gust at 5 p.m. It was the first place to be hit, 124 kilometers per hour, and sustained winds of 96. Obviously, the storm's well away from that area at this time. You can also see the radar imagery near where Cyclone Nathan is right now as well, but you can't really see too much at this time. Don't know whether the other site has an equivalent image there as well. I'm sure Jason will be on the case. But that's that. And Cyclone Nathan, of course, has been delivering heavy rain to the whole area. 228 millimeters of rain since 9 a.m. at Cooktown Airport. So that's a fairly copious amount on top of 120 the day before, I think. Michael?
Hey Nathan, I've got a good joke for you. How do you spell like cup?
What?
How do you spell I cup?
Daniel should say the answer.
I don't know.
Say I.
Pardon?
This isn't rude,
Hey,
is it, Michael?
No, Daniel. Say I.
I
Say
Yeah.
spell map.
spell map.
Yeah.
M-A-P.
Say this.
Pardon?
Say this.
What?
This doesn't make sense. Goodbye.
I am a penis.
Michael?
Roll on.
Daniel, what's going on in
Serious
your...
background noise.
Daniel, are you moving around a lot?
That's Nick.
Is it Nick?
Yeah,
Nick, what's going
Nick.
on?
Language.
Anyway, we're looking at this image right now of the Cyclone Pam. There it is. All right then, Nick. Unlucky for your app. Absolutely unfortunate. Okay, Cyclone Pam here. You can see this was an earlier image, but it just goes. I just love the resolution on it, I suppose. Here's a more recent image showing what the storm's doing right now. It's of course a Category 5 storm affecting Vanuatu with heavy rainfall, heavy thunderstorms, and of course very strong winds. The eye wall not too far from the easternmost islands, and this is a visible image as well. Is that up to date or is that earlier? No, that is up to date. That was just 2 hours ago, I think. Near those islands, the eye wall perilously close, you could say. And of course, with its peak wind speeds in there of potentially 160 miles per hour and higher gusts of 100 and possibly going towards 200 now. I'll actually find that out for you. Oh, there's an image from Jason. That looks pretty cool. If we can get that up again.
Actually,
There it
Nathan,
is.
I
Yeah?
have a giveaway.
You've what?
I have a giveaway.
Right.
1 or 2 folders, like Space Invaders folders. So I got some cheap Wilkinsons earlier, and I might be giving some away in a competition possibly.
I see. Folders, did you say?
We got folders, notebooks, or like rulers, like classic Space Invaders.
I see.
Stop it. Oh.
Daniel, what's going on there?
The cat just rolled off the bed.
Excellent. Okay. You can see all that white area around Cyclone Pam. Look at all that heavy rainfall. Everything else that's going on.
Nathan,
Yeah, what, Michael?
white area around Cyclone Pam.
It's white. Look at it. It's sort of actually, when you think of it, maybe a bit of a greyish white, but
What are you laughing at?
but that's the colour of the storm with the red
Sounds
area
like
around
an
the sides.
innuendo.
Yeah, indeed. Michael's very good at that.
Shut
That's all he knows. In any case, who's got the music out now as well? I'm gonna have to mute everyone at this rate.
Stop listening to your crap.
Is that from Daniel? Anyway, let me take a look at the latest visible image on Cyclone Pam as well. There it is. Very strong storm indeed. Okay, TV News Limited says, what are your thoughts for when it comes to New Zealand? Well, we're looking at that as well. Let me actually show you the latest track map from the JTWC, which I think shows it best. Where you can look at the at Pam's tracking map. Here it is. So it shows that the storm is now with winds of 160 miles per hour, predicted, believe it or not, to get to 175 miles per hour with gusts exceeding 200 miles per hour. So very significant. 175 miles per hour is, I'm trying to work that out in kilometers per hour here. Thinking on the spot, 280 kilometers per hour, with gusts, of course, possibly exceeding 200 miles per hour, which is 300 and something kilometers per hour. So huge amounts if it affects Vanuatu, and just a slight jog towards the west, and it could be a very significant situation when if it could possibly make a landfall. We're not looking at that at this rate though. But anyway, to the original question about New Zealand, you can see the last dot there. It's likely to be extratropical by this point, but it will still have winds of 75 miles per hour by this dot, which is not too far from New Zealand. I'm not brilliant at gauging distances, but if you consider that its closest approach is 280 nautical miles from Nouméa in New Caledonia, it's sort of a similar distance, probably slightly less, maybe 250 nautical miles from the northernmost reaches of New Zealand. And as an extratropical cyclone, it could be rather broad and could deliver some strong winds and heavy rainfall, and generally hazardous conditions. So that's the outlook on that. In the immediate future, of course, Vanuatu under the gun, as we know, but parts of New Caledonia as well, the easternmost parts of the Loyalty Islands in particular, could see tropical storm force winds in the next 48 hours. I think we may have had a... oh yes, I was just looking at the other comments as well. This is the first time that Vanuatu would experience such a cyclone if it reaches Category 5. In 1987, Tropical Storm Umar was Category 3 and then 4 as it moved away, according to David Gibson, the acting director of the Meteorological Department in Vanuatu. So it could potentially be a historic event in Vanuatu, no matter what happens. Daniel, is that you?
What was what?
Who yawned then, very loudly?
Me.
Yes.
Me.
Very
I'm
good.
tired.
Well, I know that, but if you didn't have to be on this live event,
No. I'll appear on it.
Okay. Very good. I don't know whether... oh, I'm just pressing the wrong buttons here and there. I don't know whether anyone else would like to say anything at this point about the current storms, but for the time being, let's take a look at what Jean and what Jason are showing us on their screens right now. And I'll just let anyone just have a little bit of a silence so that someone else can speak for a while, maybe.
Yeah.
Won't be you though, will it?
Say?
Do we see?
Go ahead, Michael.
How's
Well,
people's?
Well, what do you think about the current situation right now?
Well, quite interesting how quickly Pam has intensified the formation. Quite
From the
interesting.
start we've been seeing that, haven't we?
Yeah. Below this page now.
And what do you think about Cyclone Olwyn's landfall?
Yeah, that's interesting actually. And also, I'm just looking at Invest 90Q.
Well, that was the cyclone in the South Atlantic. That was subtropical storm Carrie, which has dissipated pretty much, as Pablo would point out.
What was this peak intensity?
It was 45 miles per hour, as far as we know. There's Jason's screen right now showing tropical storm Bavi in the Western Pacific at this time.
How's Nathan doing?
He's doing fine.
Not doing very well at all, you mean?
What was that, Daniel?
Nothing, you heard.
Say it.
it'll dissipate soon.
Right, yeah. No, it won't. It's expected to...
Yeah.
No, it's
It looks as
expected
though
to intensify.
it looks as though it could be on the way for landfall. Although it does look as though in the first few to middle frames, it looks as though it has weakened slightly,
There's
but could
Pablo's
re-intensify. It
satellite
looks as though
loop carry.
it looks as though it's starting to re-intensify as well. Actually,
Daniel, can't you cover your mouth when you're yawning?
I'm not yet. I haven't got the camera on.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You've still got a
it's really
microphone on.
contagious.
How can you hear me yawning? I didn't even make a
Oh,
noise.
when you say yawning, it's
did.
really contagious.
No, it isn't, because I'm not doing it. Anyway, here's the
Contagious
tracking
noise.
map for Cyclone Nathan right now. It is starting to turn away from Australia, from Queensland, and is expected to intensify, possibly reaching Category 2 intensity as it heads towards the east and eventually move out towards, over the Coral Sea, of course, and eventually perhaps make a run towards New Caledonia. But looking at that latest image, it might end up curving more poleward and avoid all land areas and possibly dissipate somewhere over the sea there. Who knows where? Obviously, as soon as we know in more detail, you'll know. But it's a fairly large cone of uncertainty around that. So theoretically, it could perhaps go anywhere within that cone.
And also, guys,
Yeah.
Is that you
Mike,
with all the
people-
background noise at the moment? Because everyone else is muted, Michael. Or is that actually Daniel?
no,
It's
because I
not
can
really-
hear
it's
it
not-
as well.
It's
Ah.
my brother.
Yes, well,
Nathan,
yeah, go ahead, Mike. We can't see you, by the way.
say to the guys about the solar eclipse happening on the 20th.
Indeed, there is a solar eclipse occurring on March the 20th. It's a very exciting event. We're hopefully going to be filming it here at Force 13 to show you firsthand what's going on. It's a very weird tune going on in your background, Daniel.
It's my brother being an idiot.
I see. Can't you move a little bit further away?
This is as further as I can get.
I
As
see.
far as I can get away from him.
Alright then, fair enough. So just in case you're wondering about the other storms as well, Olwyn pretty much a foregone conclusion with its track forecast, but those obviously with interests in Perth, obviously Jason here on our team is one of those. This tropical forecast takes it that slight bit more towards Perth in the last forecast. It was further east beforehand, but now it's trended a little bit further west still as potentially a tropical storm, or at least with tropical storm force winds of 45 miles per hour by the time it gets to that last dot there, just southeast of Perth. So it's going to be rather interesting. The storm appears to have made landfall just here near Learmonth, and could, well, obviously will be moving over sea once more, and may also make a third landfall a bit further down in that area as well. Forgive me, because my geographical knowledge of the area isn't so great, so I don't know what these areas are exactly called. But that's the situation. The Carnarvon radar that we were looking at earlier, I think, is located near that first dot, if I'm not mistaken. But yes, the whole of the west coast of Australia will be seeing effects from this storm. Daniel.
I was yawning.
Excellent. Michael,
Yeah,
what do you think about that?
I'm half asleep.
Well, maybe it's better if you went fully asleep.
I've got nothing to
Well, it's interesting. I'm very tired.
Yes, well, maybe you should grab an early night, Michael. But here's the imagery from Jason's satellite imagery right now of that very storm. You can see it there, hugging the western coast of Australia at this time. Learmonth is going to be receiving the other half of the eye wall in the next few hours, I suppose. But that is actually 90 minutes old, that image, by the looks of things, so it may have already passed over or is still in the process of doing so. But most of it is over now. So I'm sure we'll see what damages, if any, have occurred in that area. Probably not significant, considering that storms of this intensity have struck the area before. Just one moment, Pablo, and have not caused significant damage. Hello.
Hello. I just have to talk. I expect a much stronger storm since it had large heat support in seawater, but it moved very fast in the last 3 days.
Which storm is this that we're talking about? The current one, Olwyn, or a different one?
Oh,
Yeah?
yes.
Okay, yeah, sure. It has been moving fairly quickly indeed. I mean, if you look at the tracking map for the past track, you can see the amount of distance it's moved in just 24 hours, or 48 hours when it wasn't even a tropical storm. 48 hours ago, it was well out to sea, this dot here. And now, well, you know it, it's made landfall compared to some other storms that have nearly stalled along the coast of Western Australia. There's one in particular which I can't remember the name of that happened a year or so ago.
Yes, I hope the storm would move away from Australia.
Oh, noise in your background there. What did you say, Pablo?
I hope the storm would move away from Australia before the storm starting to move over Western Australia.
It is, and I'm not sure whether it's a good thing or a bad thing that it's moved further west or not, because it would probably weaken more quickly if it moved inland. And I'm guessing there are more populated places along the coastline than there is inland as well, but I'm not entirely sure on that, but I believe so. So it probably is, on the whole, bad news. I don't think Perth will see too many ill effects from the storm.
Yeah.
There might be some small-scale things here and there, but we'll see.
The only major city here is Perth, isn't it?
Yes, that's the only major city. That's, of course, way down towards the south, but there are small populated places along the coast.
This place right now isn't Marble Bay.
Where's that?
Marble Bay.
Oh, perhaps.
It's very hot there.
Jason was talking about Shark Bay at 1306, which is the first dot. So as far as I think he means that being Shark Bay in that area. Is that the whole area around that? I need to look up on the map, obviously. But people who know the geography of Australia will know the area that we're talking about just from the map, I should imagine. But yes, we could perhaps still be looking at 2 more cyclone landfalls with winds of hurricane force strength of 75 miles per hour, 120 kilometers per hour. Here's another image provided by Jason.
May I interject?
You may.
With my morning service, Mick Office, we're actually putting warnings out on Cyclone Pam.
It's about time, Michael.
Vanuatu, put warnings out.
Okay.
Stop dinging me!
Sorry. I didn't mean to ding you so much.
I'll ding your butt in a minute.
Very good. Stephen P. Shaw also says Western Australia has been under drought conditions for several years, I've heard. Olwyn is on a great track to supply much needed rain. And yes, that is something that we must point out, because I know that Jason mentioned that in a past show as well. I'm not sure whether he said it on air or not. But there is a lot of the rainfall there will be of the beneficial variety.
I believe it was this morning, wasn't it?
I don't even remember anymore. It's all fading into one for me. But that's what you get for being a storm tracking host. I've lost my voice. I've lost my voice. It's awful.
You're storm tracking protege.
If you say so. And here's Jean's map again. You can see all 3 systems there in the southern hemisphere on that what appears to be infrared imagery, showing Pam on the right hand side. That, of course, the strongest storm of all and may end up getting into the record books for the South Pacific Basin.
Information.
Did you mention that before, Pablo, about that?
What?
How Pam is already one of the strongest storms that have occurred in the South Pacific.
Since Olwyn.
But there have been stronger storms than that, I'm sure. Probably not much stronger though. And if it does get to 175 miles per hour, that'll be quite something.
Olwyn was stronger.
Otherwise, was that?
Yes.
Hmm.
Just the
Yeah.
pressure.
Oh, go on.
3 millibars.
3 millibars?
Different.
Oh, sorry. 3 millibars difference. That makes more sense. Yeah. Okay. So not that much longer to go then, I suppose. But so you're saying it was 915?
Yes.
Right. Yes. So yeah, not much further to go, and this 918 reading is the ATCF information, which is pretty much uniform for whenever a storm reaches a certain intensity. The pressure is usually the same amount, unless someone says otherwise. I'm not sure whether or not anyone has said otherwise, but I'll probably find out for you at some point. There's a map of the western coast of Australia shown by Jason. So this is the area. Pilbara province. Are they called provinces or regions or what? Anyway, you can see Exmouth at your top left, and further south is Carnarvon. So in between those areas now is where the worst of the storm is, not far from Coral Bay, and that will extend further south to Farquhar and Cape Cuvier towards Shark Bay, affecting Carnarvon and then Denham and those places around that area too, and then eventually moving towards Kalbarri, Geraldton, and eventually heading into the more built-up areas around Sydney. Who's breathing down the microphone, wherever you are?
Michael.
Michael, are you too close to your mic?
Wait, what? No, I fell asleep. Laid on my bed. I think I just fell asleep.
Michael fell asleep on air. That's a first. That's
Okay,
the first, guys. But yes, there's Perth down there, so it will affect that whole area, and will hopefully deliver much needed rainfall over the whole of the western coast of Australia. But of course, wind speeds all the way down there will still be of storm force, so certainly good advice to certainly prepare for those sort of conditions and stay in shelter as it passes for the most part. In the meantime, let me go and look up something else. Whilst we let's take a look now and show you that imagery that we saw earlier again from Jean. But at the moment, I'm trying to find out what Fiji is saying about the storm's intensity, because sometimes the regional agencies say otherwise. Obviously, it says it's a Category 5 on the Australian scale, but I'm trying to find out perhaps what sort of pressure or intensity that they are saying at this point. There's an image of Jason showing the visible imagery.
Oh. Current informations. Here in Porto Alegre, we have 27 Fahrenheit, 27 Celsius, few clouds at the moment, and weak wind.
Very good. Here in the UK at Force 13 HQ, the temperature is currently 6 degrees above freezing. In Celsius, that is, of course. Winds are light. Our air pressure is around 10-20 millibars.
Our one down here is about 10:30.
Wow.
Pressure here is 10-12. No, 10-11. 10-11 millibars at the moment.
That went up quickly, didn't it, from Carrie?
What?
That went up quickly since Carrie went through.
No, the lowest pressure today was 10.9.8.
Okay.
Around 2 a.m.
Jean is actually showing us some other maps now. What's this? Wave height. You can see Pam's association with Pam on the right-hand side, showing wave heights of, what would that be? Quite high anyway, over 30, I'd say. 21, 24, 27, 36,
Let's say
I think, in the
42.
centre. It does say 40 something on the JTWC's forecast, I think, on the wave height. There's Jason's map showing so many different views that we have of this storm. Isn't the 21st century grand? I'm still waiting for my page to load to actually tell you what. Yes, Fiji are going with that 918 hectopascals air pressure, located near 14.9 degrees south, 116.2 degrees east. That was as of 6 p.m. UTC. And that may. Actually, it says expect winds of 120 knots close to the centre, but we're probably looking more towards 140 knots, which is 160 miles per hour, or 280 kilometers per hour, something like that. Daniel?
Cyclone Pam, it's supposed to last about 3 days, isn't it?
Pam will be. Yeah, you're looking at that as a maximum, and then it will be gone, and
yeah.
This app is repeatedly crashing on me, and I may need to restart. I need to. I'll probably be back later.
All right then, Nick. Well, thanks for joining us anyway.
Okay, goodbye.
Have a good evening. This was. Oh, we've already seen that. That's the Cyclone Olwyn.
Ow!
You can also. I didn't do anything, Daniel.
Pardon?
I didn't do anything to you.
It's a cat.
Yes. Here's the JTWC's latest map on Tropical Storm Bavi right now. So this storm's likely to move towards the west-northwest and eventually go on to affect Guam. At the moment, it says a direct hit for Guam, but we can't really put much faith into that just yet until it gets much closer. So it could go on to affect Guam. It looks to be peaking with winds of 70 miles per hour, just shy of typhoon intensity in the next 5 days. But if you've seen our previous updates, then you'll know that these forecasts are liable to change. Here's another version from Jason at this time, where you can see the models and how they differ from each other at the moment. And you can actually see how most of them do trend towards the Philippines. It didn't look like that initially, and I said to someone online that it wasn't likely to affect the Philippines, but maybe you might want to look again, because looking at those models there, it could be a possible storm for the Philippines in the next what will probably be around 7 days or so. But it will be significantly weaker by the looks of things, if this is anything to go by, what Jason's showing us right now. Pablo's showing us what it looks like outside, I think. Sure whether or not we can see anything there. But I did see a view outside. Daniel, what's so funny?
Nothing.
Nothing. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry.
Sure. Is Nick back with us?
Is Michael falling asleep?
Yeah, Michael's asleep. Don't worry about that.
Wake up.
No, don't.
Wait.
Don't. Honestly, do not. Here's another model run at this time that you can see here for Olwyn, and fairly clear. But if the nav gem is anything to go by, then the storm may just move out towards the left-hand side a little bit and stay out to sea. That would be quite something to behold. So we'll see what happens with that. I don't think that will quite happen. It would have to move significantly further west very soon if it was going to do that. But stranger things have happened.
Passing over Guam as an almost typhoon, isn't it?
What's that?
The predicted path is the reach Guam as an almost category 1 typhoon.
That's right. At the moment, at least the JTWC forecast, which is going along with the models, currently predicts a direct hit for Guam. Not saying that will happen, obviously, because we don't want to scare anyone, but it could quite possibly affect. Well, quite likely that it will affect that area, but we don't know whether or not it will make a direct landfall and at what intensity. The models that Jason shows us here differ slightly around the Guam area, but after that they differ a little bit more as they go towards the Philippines. Pablo?
If you see the satellite image of Bavi at this moment, we have a lot of convection in the center, and the western side of the storm is starting to create a good outflow. The
I
east
think
part
it's
of the
been
storm,
like that for a small amount of time as well.
yes, the center is near almost exposed, but a lot of deep convection on the west side of the storm.
All right then.
I may hit the hay because I keep falling asleep.
Good morning, Michael.
Good morning.
Daniel, I wasn't talking to you. You
Later.
got up
No,
late
I was
as well,
talking to Michael.
And I was up at 7 o'clock this morning, and I'm not falling asleep. And people may laugh when they hear that, because to some people 7 o'clock isn't early, but it is to me. Good Lord, it is.
I woke up at 5.
Okay,
I'll be getting up at...
I'll see you later.
You woke up at 5. All right, Michael, have a good evening.
Bye.
Well, I'll talk to you on Skype later.
Good night.
Sure thing.
Bye.
I'll be getting up at 12 o'clock
Okay.
tomorrow, probably. That'll be me.
Lazy.
I wonder whether Sean could show us any other imagery as well whilst we're at it. Right now, though, I may as well go ahead and show you what the sea surface temperatures look like around the world. Beginning with the
It's warming up, isn't it?
well, depends which
It's
area.
beginning to warm up. The Atlantic's starting to warm up a bit, isn't it?
Yes, it is. 26 degrees over most of the Caribbean, but at this time of year it's very rare, if not never, that you see storms in this area. But it is extending into the Gulf of Mexico as well. Still chilly along the coast, the Gulf Coast, though.
Caribbean? I thought it was pronounced Caribbean.
It can be either.
Yeah.
The South Atlantic, if Pablo is expecting another storm, still warm waters around there as well. It's warm enough, 26 degrees in that area. In the southwest Indian Ocean, there may still be time for a new tropical storm to form in this region as well. 30-degree waters off towards the northeast. Sorry, what was that, Pablo?
Olwyn's tropical storm Dini right now.
Yes. Absolutely. I'm sure you'd love a storm to track over your place as long as there's no damage, right?
I want a hurricane.
Yeah.
I've got a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
During the North Atlantic hurricane season, can hurricanes still form in the Pacific, or do they become less common?
I beg your pardon.
Stupid question.
Which part of the Pacific is the real question?
Any part of the Pacific.
All parts of the Pacific.
Yes.
You get the rare occasion. We once had a storm that formed in June in the South Pacific, which wasn't so long ago. I think it was 2013. It wasn't named, it was just numbered. But anyway, looking at the sea surface temperatures around Australia, 32 degrees still in these areas, around the top end, and in the Gulf of Carpentaria, 32 degrees Celsius, very warm waters, roasting. Further towards the west, you can sort of see a little bit of cooler waters where Cyclone Olwyn has tracked. Obviously, it leaves cooler waters in its wake naturally, but still around 30 degrees Celsius or slightly less, certainly warm enough to support another cyclone if one decided to form. But Olwyn is pretty much becoming an irrelevance now in terms of sea surface temperatures because it's mostly inland. Where Cyclone Nathan is, though, it's probably good news for it that it has not strengthened sufficiently, because if it had, then it might have caused cooler sea surface temperatures around where it is. but because it's remained somewhat weak, perhaps that hasn't happened as much as it would have. So waters remain warm in that area, around 29 or 30 degrees Celsius, and then when it moves back towards the east once more, it will warm up further, possibly towards 32 degrees Celsius as well. Where Pam is right now, Cyclones Pam, of course, water temperatures around 30 degrees Celsius over Vanuatu. Port Vila around 29.5 degrees to be specific. Can't get my words out. And further north, of course, where we have tropical storm Bavi, water temperatures around that area, where we're looking at here, this whole region, around 28 degrees Celsius or so. And as it moves towards Guam, it will decrease to around 27, still warm enough, and then it will decrease to around 26 to 27 as it heads towards the Philippines. Barely warm enough in that area at this time. There's Jason's image here showing the models for Cyclone Pam, and you can see even at 72 hours how most of the models predict it to be around, I'm guessing it's averaged out there, 956 millibars, and then further strengthening once it becomes post-tropical to 946 once it reaches the other side of New Zealand. You can also see one or two outlying models calling for a landfall over New Zealand just after the 72-hour mark. I'm not saying it's likely, but 2 or 3 of the models are saying that, apart from all the others that are out there as well. This is more clear-cut, I suppose. The consensus with those, the GFS and the NavGem the closest to New Zealand, the GEM moving further towards the east. For the time being, some of those southern Vanuatu islands possibly seeing really bad conditions and perhaps a landfall. What do you think about that, Daniel?
I'm not sure because I didn't hear it because it crashed.
Oh, I see.
Could you repeat it, please?
Oh, we're just talking about what the models are saying for Cyclone Pam at this time.
I don't know.
Here's another interesting shot from Jason there, showing the analog tropical storms as well. Thought that was rather interesting. Quite a few storms have reached that area before, and you can see a few that have gone well towards the south of the Australian continent. Harriet, is it Harriet? And Vincent. And several storms that have moved inland quite significantly as well, such as Neil.
Have any cyclones ever reached the Antarctica?
No.
No, they dissipate before they even reach there.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, it's quite, I think a storm or two has, not as tropical, but a storm or two has reached Greenland before.
Yeah. I know remnants of some storms has reached the UK.
Well, we even had Hurricane Debbie, which may have struck Ireland as a hurricane. It was turning post-tropical. We don't know, and we may never know whether it was truly tropical at the time or not. It was way back in 1961. Yeah. The only one ever to make landfall as what we believe to be a hurricane, or as a tropical entity, on the British Isles.
Could try asking someone from back then.
Here's a view from Sean's PC right now, showing 2 strong extra tropical lows by the looks of things. Is someone laughing in the background there, by the way?
Me?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's probably something on the computer. Stupid.
In any case, of course, we've been on air for 55 minutes, and we'll be finishing up in around 5 minutes' time to give you a quick heads up on that. So let us now run through the warnings and what storms we have active right now. We have Cyclone Pam. It's intensified if you've just joined us. It's now a Category 5 storm on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale and on the Australian scale. It's got sustained winds 160 miles per hour, 918 millibars, position 15 degrees south, 169.6 degrees east, just east of some of those Vanuatu islands at this time. And Port Vila is just towards the south of the islands that it's very close to at this time as well. So when it does move towards the south, it could possibly affect the island that Port Vila is on with very extreme cyclonic winds as it continues to move. It seems to be drawing ever nearer to those islands as well every time I look at it. I'm sure it's not an illusion. So those on Vanuatu should definitely be ready and prepared for this storm, because we could possibly see the worst in some places. Just a warning. Cyclone Nathan. This is an old photo, but it's probably not very relevant. We're just waiting for the first visible image on this one, actually. And that is near the coast of Queensland. And that's been stalling there for some time, delivering lots of rainfall to the area. That's probably going to begin to move back out to sea in the next few hours and head out over the Coral Sea and become a possibly Category 2 storm in Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. We also have Cyclone Olwyn, of course. That made landfall in Western Australia and is likely to move back out over waters again for a short time and maybe make 2 more landfalls before eventually turning towards the southeast and possibly making a pass near or maybe even over the city of Perth. And we have Tropical Storm Bavi with winds of 45 miles per hour and a pressure of 993 millibars, slowly moving towards the west-northwest, headed towards the Mariana Islands. Warnings in effect from Cyclone Olwyn. They've been scaled back a bit on the northernmost areas, so warnings now in effect from Mardi to Jurien Bay and inland to Paynes Find, including Karatha, Barrow Island, Onslow, Exmouth, Coral Bay, Carnarvon, Denham, Kalbarri and adjacent inland parts of the Western Pilbara, Western Gascoyne and Northern Central West districts. And also for Cyclone Nathan, warning still in effect from the Lockhart River to Cooktown. Unless it's just changed at the latest image, but oh yes, it has. It's been extending northwards now, been scaled back a bit to Cape Flattery. Still a Category 2 on the Australian scale. What was that, Daniel?
How long do you reckon Cyclone Nathan will stay active for?
I would say in the region of 6 to 8 days.
Oh, right. I thought it'd be less than that.
Also, let's take another look at the warning areas from Cyclone Pam. Category 5, as I stressed, the whole of the Vanuatu Islands could see very inclement conditions, severe weather, hazardous conditions, and total destruction perhaps in some places, if it does make landfall anywhere as a Category 5 storm. Likely to pass very close, within maybe just a few dozen miles of Port Vila, and then moving towards the southeast, where warnings are also in effect. The warning area extends as far as Mare, the most eastern island of the Loyalty Islands of New Caledonia, and may continue towards the southeast and deliver an extratropical blow to New Zealand. We also have warnings in effect, or we did have warnings in effect for the Marshall Islands. I'll load that up in just a moment if I can. Meantime, we'll just look at Jason's image. Yeah, the latest warning on Tropical Storm Bavi, moving away from Ujai and the Marshall Islands. Tropical storm warning has been cancelled for that area as well, but remains in effect for Eniwetak in the Western Marshall Islands too. Well, it's 10 p.m. almost UTC, meaning it's early in the morning. I don't know what time it is now. I can't even think of my time zones, but early hours somewhere in Australia, and I think it's around 9 a.m. in Vanuatu right now. We'll be keeping you up to date as much as possible throughout the next 24 hours. We'll have another live event occurring probably at 11 a.m. Tomorrow morning, maybe 12, but we'll be posting it online as soon as we know what time it will be.
Is that our time?
That's our time, yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it is good, isn't it?
Yeah.
But let me just actually see if there's any new questions that I need to mention first. Stephen P. Shaw says, I think we will have an early start to the Eastern Pacific tropical season with very warm waters to the west of Central America. I did notice that before. So we'll see what happens with that. I mean, sometimes you get a storm that forms a bit early, but we'll see. But yes, we'll be finishing on the air now, so I'd like to thank all the people who have taken part, as always, this evening. Jean with his screen share this evening, thanks very much. From Mauritius, of course, he's familiar with storms there as well. Get that flag back up. Yeah. Daniel in Manchester, hello.
For sitting there like a lemon.
Sitting there like a lemon.
Yeah.
Jason for supplying his imagery as well from his screen share. Couldn't have done it without either Jason or Sean, because when I toss it over to someone else's screen, I can find things of my own. Just a quick look at the tracks there on his screen for Cyclone Nathan as well, showing where a lot of them predicting the storm to go. Quite a diverse opinion, I suppose, across the model spectrum, I suppose you could call it. Thanks also to Nick, if he's still there. I don't know if he is or not.
I think he left.
He's still here on my screen. Thank you also, Pablo, in the south of Brazil, where we had Cyclone Carrie not so long ago. He'll be keeping us up to date with any South Atlantic developments that happen in future, I'm sure. And myself, Nathan Foy. And that's me saying goodbye, and we'll be back at another time. We'll also have updates on our social pages: Facebook, search Force13, Twitter @Force13, and also with our recorded video updates that occur as and when on YouTube. But for now, that's all from us, and good night. Goodbye.
Goodbye.